Hello, everyone. On behalf of the 3rd District Band Directors Association, welcome to the 2026 All-District Band Concert. My name is Angela Saba-Enkert, and I'm the band director, or a band director of Bowling Green City Schools, and I'm the KMEA 3rd District Band Chair. The students you'll be hearing today come from 46 different schools that represent the 3rd District of KMEA. The 3rd District Band Directors Association is proud to provide an all-district band event that provides a professional music making opportunity as well as other life experiences that students will carry with them for years to come. We would like to thank the following individuals for making this event and concert possible for these students. Thank you to Western Kentucky University Music Department, specifically Dr. Shallot, Dr. Matthew McCurdy, Dr. Zachary Lopes, and their graduate assistants, Noah Woody, David Holt, and Megan Withers, and WKU student staff members for their service and efforts in hosting this event, especially when their semester of school hasn't even started just yet. Thank you to the Van Meter Auditorium staff, Jeff Smith, Sarah Thomas, and Adam Crawford for facilitating all auditorium sessions. Thank you to Bowling Green City Schools and Warren East High School directors, students, and families for hosting the all-district auditions and providing hospitality rooms for the judges. Thank you to Warren East High School for the band program for providing percussion equipment for the 11-12 band and for tonight's performance. I guess not tonight, today's performance. Thank you to the students for putting forth your best foot and auditioning for the all-district band and showing tremendous work ethic, professionalism, and musicianship throughout this weekend. Lastly, from all of us band directors and students, we would like to thank you, the parents, families, friends, and supporters of all the students who are performing today. Making music is certainly an investment of time, energy, and money. Your support means so much to the students performing today, and we are grateful for all of your support in the development of music programs across the entire district. We want to remind everyone to turn off all cell phones, electronic devices, and put them in silent for the sake of today's performers. We ask for all flash photography to be taken at the beginning when we do our group picture. Performing first on today's program is the 2026 7th, 8th All-District Band. We will now take an opportunity to take a picture. So students, let's lower our stands. And we're gonna smile this way so we can take a picture. Awesome, thank you. You can put your stands back there, guys. I would like to actually recognize one student who's unfortunately not listed in the program. Her name is Sarah Perez Mejia, who's a flute player from Henry Moss Middle School. We'll now have Miss Amber Lamastis, band director at Franklin Simpson Middle School and the district middle school band chair. She's been the coordinator of this ensemble, and she's done a fabulous job, and she's overseen all the rehearsals. I would like to invite her to the stage at this time.
Good morning, everybody. I am so excited to introduce you to this year's 7th and 8th grade all-district band and their clinician, Mr. Ben Walker. Each band that you will see today is completely unique because most of them are total strangers before Thursday. Collaborating together like this in such a short time span to perform a concert is hard enough for any musician. But what makes it even more impressive is that many of these students on stage are experiencing all-district for the very first time. These students have worked so hard over the last few days to put on a fantastic concert for you. With that being said, all of the students who will be performing today deserve to play for an audience just as full as it is now. I encourage each of you to stay for the entirety of the concert to not only support our high school musicians, but to also show these middle school students what they have to look forward to as they get older. Now, this particular group seated before you is the absolute most fun group of students that I've probably ever seen at an all-district honor band situation ever. They support each other, they laugh together, they have been really great to work with, and I think, beyond a shadow of a doubt, they absolutely love their clinician, It's been a treat to watch him work with them. It's been a treat to see them interact with each other. Mr. Ben Walker is the band director at Frederick Douglass High School, Crawford Middle School, and Liberty Elementary in Lexington, Kentucky. In his 24-year teaching career, he has been the camp director and operations manager for the Stephen Collins Foster Music Camps, is frequently an adjudicator in state-level performance events. His bands regularly earn distinguished ratings at the KMEA State Concert Assessment, and he has earned many awards, including the KMEA District 11 Middle School Music Teacher of the Year in 2002. The 7th and 8th grade all-district band will be performing the following musical selections. First, Firebirds. Second, Shadows Unleashed. Third, Terracotta Warriors. And fourth, The Great Rubber Chicken Guy. Please give a very warm welcome to Mr. Ben Walker and the 7th and 8th grade all-district band.
Thank you so much for being here. Just a quick note, I'll talk a little bit later. Just want to introduce that first piece was Firebirds. If you recognize it, look up Stravinsky. All right, a good introduction to some classical music for these young folks. We'll give it a second here, a little change. We've got Mr. Damian Tibbetts, who's from Christian County Middle School, who's a trombone player. This next piece has a piano part that we really need to cover, and he's like, I can do it. He got it Thursday night, he's doing awesome. So can we give a big round of applause for Damian for filling in piano back there? And just to set the mood for this next piece called Shadows Unleashed. If you've ever been at home, kind of maybe by yourself, and you think you see something, get up, go, turn on the light, there's nothing, you ever done that? That's this piece. And so that's seeing these repeated shadows, things that you think are there that are not there, kind of drives you crazy. That's this piece. The only difference is eventually the shadows come alive, and then they go away, and you think all is good, and it ends with one big giant note at the end that says, we're back.
My name is Calvin Reed, and I'm a percussionist at Bowling Green Junior High School. The piece you are about to hear is entitled Terracotta Warriors. This piece is based off of the terracotta army of Emperor Qin Shi Huang, the first emperor of China. This collection of terracotta statues includes over 8,000 soldiers, all unique, as well as hundreds of cavalry, horses, musicians, acrobats, nobles, and other entertainers. These statues were buried around the emperor with the purpose of serving him in the afterlife. The mausoleum of Emperor Qin Shi Huang, including his terracotta army, can still be visited today in the city of Xi'an, China. This piece is based off of those same soldiers coming to life.
before the 7th and 8th grade band performs their very last piece. Mr. Walker, if you could please wait, please. On behalf of the 3rd District Band Directors Association, we are honored to present Mr. Ben Walker a plaque of appreciation for your time and efforts for 36 students. You have given our students a tremendous musical experience and many, many lifelong memories.
I won't talk long because I know we have a couple more groups to get to, but I do want to thank everyone for hosting me here and inviting me back. I did this several years ago. And I got real ambitious this time. You know, sometimes you bite off more than you can chew. And I thought when I put all this in the folder, I thought I may have done that. I was never so wrong in my life. This group, phenomenal. Absolutely amazing. Your band director, oh, thank you. It's just a sign of great, parenting, great home life, encouragement, getting these kids doing these things. I don't want to give you all the things because you know, because you're here, because you're doing it. So I'm not going to preach to the choir. I'm going to say thank you, choir. You're doing a great job. Keep singing, keep doing it. And thank you to all the band directors. There is amazing teachers here. If I had kids of my own, I would move here and put them in one of these schools because they're being taught incredibly well. And if you can have a moment, make sure you say thank you to those fine folks for doing all the hard work, and then I get to come up here, just wave a stick and make it all just look like I did all this, and I didn't do anything. So they've been absolutely phenomenal. This group has been lit on fire, and I mean that in like their attitude, how hard they've worked. They've done wonderful things. We had no HVAC, so we really were on fire. We were sweating the whole time. So these guys have been really, really awesome, and I want to say thank you to the students for making this probably the best weekend I've ever had doing these honor bands in my 24 years of teaching. I will never forget this moment. It's been wonderful. They've been the sweetest. Absolutely. Now, they're probably going to tell you things like some of these crazy stories I may have told them about me throwing axes and ninja stars at them or driving them over with go-karts or a bunch of different chickens that poop out gumballs, things like that. It's not true. I would never allow that. They did not walk in with kazoos and serenade me, and we crowned a giant king duck last night called the Alpha Duck. That would never happen. These were absolutely the best. It's the best time ever. We're going to dedicate this next piece to the Alpha Duck, and we have some special guests. I can't introduce all our guest performers on this next piece, but I'm going to read you a couple of them. We have some wonderful little things here, some guest performers sitting on the stands. You guys are going to put them up for everybody. We have Sydney and Samantha, Bradley Jr., we have Pineapple, Jackie Chan, but only on Tuesday, Thursday, I think about Margaret. KFC, of course. Bartholomew Davis III, Colonel Sanders, Dinner, Young, and my favorite, Cluck Norris. We've had a blast. This has been absolutely the best weekend I've ever had. Thank you all so much for your support. Thank you to all. We're going to end with a really hard piece, but a really fun piece. Enjoy the great Rubber Chicken Gallop.
That story was true.
want to welcome everyone to today's concert and remind you to please silence all cell phones and electronic devices throughout today's event. We're going to now go ahead and take a photo of our 9-10 All-District Band. So students, can you guys lower your music stands and face this way and please smile? Awesome, thank you guys. All right, we have one more student that is not in the program, and this is Isabella Tucker from Muhlenberg High School playing clarinet. We want to recognize some students this morning. In addition to auditioning for this 9 and 10 All-District Band, students also had the opportunity to audition for the KMEA All-State Bands, Orchestras, and All-State Jazz Bands. Several of these 9-10 graders had to prepare the All-State music, which is also the 11-12 audition music. To make the All-State Band as a 9th and 10th grader is a remarkable accomplishment. The students that were selected in the Kentucky All-State Band and Jazz Band are recognized as an honorable mention or an alternate are noted in your program. We now ask all those students who were selected as an honorable mention, as an alternate, or just made the ensembles, please stand and be recognized for their outstanding achievement. Please stand. Mr. Jonathan Klein is the band director at Warren East High School and the district band chair-elect, and he has been the coordinator of this group and has overseen all their rehearsals. This entire all-district event would not have taken place without both Amber and Jonathan working so diligently. I'd like to introduce him to the stage to introduce the 9-10 All-District Band.
Thank you very much. I am pleased to present to you the 9th and 10th grade All-District Band and their clinician, Dr. Corey Bonds. It has been a great pleasure to see the growth of these musicians over the past 2 days as they went from a group of 102 individuals from 18 schools into one cohesive ensemble. I think that the hard work and dedication they have put into this performance will definitely show today. The clinician for the 9th and 10th grade All-District Band is Dr. Corey Bonds. Dr. Bonds is no stranger to the 3rd District, having previously served as the Assistant Band Director at Allen County Scottsville High School and the Director of Bands at Glasgow High School. He also served as the President of the 3rd District Music Educators Association. After leaving Glasgow, Dr. Bonds went to Campbellsville University as an Assistant Professor of Music and the Director of Bands. In 2024, Dr. Bonds moved to Decatur, Alabama, where he is the Minister of Music at Westmead Baptist Church. Today, the 9th and 10th grade band will be performing the following musical selections: Cuyahoga River March, Sailing, Let Your Spirit Sing, Eureka, and Groovitude. Please welcome to the stage and back to the 3rd District, Dr. Corey Bonds and the 9th and 10th grade All-District Band.
Good afternoon. I'm going to keep my commentary very brief for you. It's been a joy to be back in Kentucky for a few days. I want to share with you a little bit about each piece, just so you can hear maybe from a different perspective. What you just heard was Cuyahoga or Cuyahoga March, depends on which side of the street you talk to in Ohio. It's an important landmark river in Ohio, and a great young composer for wind band, John Pasternak, who gave us that piece. Worthy march of our time and energy, and the kids have done great. Learning it, we're going to pivot now into kind of the remainder of the program. I kind of want to set up a 4-movement symphony feel for the rest of the programming, and the kids have gotten to experience the voice of a variety of composers. We have a Japanese female composer, a young African-American composer, just a good variety of voice that they're getting to experience in performing arts, and I think that's important. The next 2 pieces we'll perform are both by female composers, Yukiko Nishimura, Japanese composer, Sailing. It gives you a picture of literally a boat out on the water. Moving sailboat, sometimes the boat will come to a pause when the wind's not blowing, so you get kind of both feels in that. The next piece we will perform will be Let Your Spirit Sing by renowned composer Julie Giroux. Just a beautiful lyrical work. She heard a melody sung by a children's choir and decided to respond in writing. So the next 2 pieces, Sailing and Let Your Spirit Sing. tell you just a brief statement about this next piece, Eureka, by Kataj Copley. Kataj is a young African-American composer, bringing a unique bit of composition into the band world. He writes in his score about the title, Eureka. It's a word used to express triumph on a discovery. Most of us have felt this feeling before, and I always wanted to write a piece that expressed it. Finally, ironically, after much work, well, Eureka. It came, I wrote it. It's a short scherzo. I told the students just briefly about the introduction of a dance movement into the symphony following the slow piece, historically in symphonic works for orchestras. And that's kind of how this fits. As it gets started, it actually finishes. It's not a long work, but it introduces them to a really fast moving 3-meter. Hope you enjoy the dance piece, Eureka. On behalf of the 3rd District Band Directors Association, we are honored to present Dr. Corey Bonds a plaque of appreciation for your time and efforts with our music students. You have given our students a tremendous musical experience and many lifelong memories. It has been an absolute joy to come back to Bluegrass State, be in my hometown area, encouraged by hometown area students, the directors. It has just done my spirit so good. I love the work that I get to do in North Alabama, the church folk I get to work with and encourage and pray for on the regular. As I prepared for this week, I prayed that the Lord would just help all of us find great joy in the gift of music that he has given us. And I'm so thankful that there are directors in this area who continue to encourage students to enjoy the beautiful art that God has given music. I'm thankful for the homes that foster the opportunity for students to come and partake of the good, the true, and the beautiful. In an era when the good and the true and the beautiful is not necessarily what's reported on first in the news. I'm thankful for that opportunity. These students have exhibited others' mindedness as they walked through rehearsals together. There were moments of celebration when someone who was struggling got it. There were moments of patience, moments of laughter. We even got a new mascot, a fuggler named Nugget. He's often helped me in rehearsals, but these students have been an absolute wonder and joy to be with. Our last song we're going to play, you just heard a recap. The last song we're going to play, if you smile, it's okay. If you dance, it's okay. If you clap on 2 and 4, it's okay. We're going to be joined on the platform as we finish our portion of the program this afternoon by a bass guitarist, Jess O'Rourke from Bowling Green is going to join us. Y'all welcome Jess. And Miss Jillian McClellan is going to join us on synthesizer and rock organ. This final piece is Groovitude. Randall Standridge says, it is a meeting of disco, funk, joy, and band, all wrapped up in about 4 minutes. We hope you enjoy our final piece, Groovitude.
acoustics. So, please help me recognize Dawn Wright from Franklin Simpson High School and Owen Hockham from Muhlenberg High School. So sorry, guys. All right, we're going to now take our picture. So here's the all right, awesome. Stand up, please. All right. Well, these students have been working super hard since Thursday night to perform a program that has helped them grow in many aspects of music making. Your band directors are extremely proud of you as we've seen you guys grow up for years to now performing in the 11th and 12th grade group. Several of these students are performing their last all-district band concert. Seniors, if you've been in the all-district band since your 7th grade year, can you please stand to be recognized? All right. The next group we want to recognize are the students that made it into our Kentucky All-State Band, orchestras, or jazz ensembles as a member, as an alternate, or an honorable mention. Can you please stand to be recognized as well? All right. We are now going to present the Joe Allen Scholarship that is voted on by all our 3rd District band directors anonymously. And to actually present this award is the grandson of the late Joe Allen. This is Mr. Lucas Allen, who is a band director at Bowling Green City Schools.
Each year, the 3rd District Band Directors Association gives a scholarship in honor of Joe Allen, who for many years was a mainstay in the development of so many young musicians within this district. Buddy Joe Allen was many different things to many different people. To some, he was a band director who gave everything he had, no matter what, to help students reach their full potential. To some, he was an adjudicator, one whose opinion was highly valued and sought after. To some, he was a mentor in teaching band, a wise old soul who had an opinion and an answer for everything. And he was going to let you hear it, probably with a McDonald's coffee in hand. His teachings have been passed down through generations of band directors in the state of Kentucky, and specifically in the 3rd District of KMEA. To all students that have performed on this stage today, whether or not you are aware of it, there is likely something you have learned from your band director that they learned from Mr. Allen or from somebody else who got it from him. He loved this district and the students and teachers in it. He loved this very building, Van Meter Hall, so much that he chose his final resting place in a niche right down the hill from this building. His profound impact on this district will be felt for generations to come. As for me, he was my grandfather, and it brings me great joy to present this scholarship in his honor. This year's recipient of the Joe Allen Scholarship is Eliza Wilson from Russellville High School. Come on up.
Alexander Kaminsky is the clinician of the 2026 11-12 All-District Band. The growth that this ensemble has shown has been pretty remarkable in just 2 days. Mr. Kaminsky has been the director of bands at Vandercook College since 2019. Vandercook College is located in Chicago, Illinois, and is one of its kind as a college specifically designed for students interested in pursuing a degree in music education. Prior to this, he taught for 30 years in public schools where his bands performed at venues and conferences of the highest honor in our country. He's a consular educational clinician and travels throughout the country to provide workshops, clinic honor bands, and work closely with band programs. The 11-12 All-District Band will be performing the following musical selections in this order: Semper Liberi by Robert W. Smith, Bridget's Cross by Gerard Hall, North-South College All-Stars by Henry Fillmore, A Jubilant Overture by Alfred Reed, and they're going to close their program with Above the Line Gallup. Please help me welcome Mr. Alexander Kaminsky and the 2026 11th and 12th grade All-District Band.
Thank you so much. I'll talk about these awesome students a little bit later, but I do want to mention two things. Number one, we do not have a mascot, so we missed that memo, but maybe we can adopt one of the two, the 7-8 band and the 9-10 band. And didn't they both do a great job, those two bands?
Yes, they did.
That opening selection was by Robert W. Smith, and I've been using that with honor bands that I conduct because he was a prolific composer, and we lost him at a much too young age a couple of years ago. And so that Semper Liberi, which translates to Always Free, is really a tribute to Robert and all he did for music education. The next piece Bridget's Cross is by an African-American composer, Gerard Hall, and it's basically a prayer of solace and safety. It's a beautiful work. I actually was able to premiere it at the Midwest Clinic with the Vandercook College of Music Symphonic Band, where I teach back in 2021. So we hope you enjoy Bridget's Cross. That's a piece that I'm really trying to get known because it's absolutely gorgeous. It's beautiful. And it really, I always like to encourage them to play a lyrical piece because it really encourages the musicianship, which many times is more difficult than like the fast, high music. The next selection is a march because I always like to program a march, and this is by Henry Fillmore. Henry Fillmore is actually from Ohio, but he retired in Miami and actually wrote for the University of Miami Band of the Hour. And it's interesting because if you're a college football fan like me, I was actually born and raised in Miami, so I had the University of Miami nearby all the time, but I went to the University of Florida, so I'm a Gator fan. I'm not particularly a Miami fan. My dad's a Miami fan. And so there are a couple of Miami connections with this piece and the next piece. But Henry Fillmore is known to never have written anything but happy marches, and I think you'll enjoy this. He was a trombone player, and so you're going to see a little bit of a trombone feature as well. So this is the North-South College All-Stars by Henry Fillmore. So the next selection is by Alfred Reed. And another thing I try to do when I program in honor bands is expose to students to classical wind band repertoire by prolific composers, not just the current composers that are writing, which we premiere a lot of music at Vandercook, but there are some prolific composers that really kind of were the pioneers that got us to where we are, and one of those is Alfred Reed. And he wrote this jubilant overture, and it really is basically what the title implies. It's a very jubilant, it's in three parts. The first and third parts are sort of the celebratory aspects, and the middle section to me is one of the most gorgeous melodic and harmonic pieces of composing that Alfred Reed did, just gorgeous. And Alfred Reed was actually a professor of composition at the University of Miami. So there's another connection to my hometown. So we hope you enjoy Alfred Reed's Jubilant Overture.
the backup piece in case they couldn't play Jubilant Overture, which was a heavy lift. It's a grade 5 piece of music. And after our first rehearsal, I'm like, I think we can do this. Wasn't that awesome? I mean, and as Ben said at the beginning, this is a tribute to the training that's taking place before we ever get here. We just get to put this together, but there's a lot of great teaching that was taking place way before I ever got here. So can we, number one, if you're a band director and you're out here and one of these is your students, I'd like you to stand, and the rest of us, can we acknowledge the work that our band directors here are doing? You know, although I'm at Vanderbilt College of Music and training future band directors, I'm a quote-unquote college band director. I'm really a high school band director at heart, so I know what these folks do to make this happen. And along those lines, I'd like to thank Anjali and District 3 for allowing me the opportunity to work with these outstanding human beings on this stage who also happen to be great musicians. So can we thank them for, again, the work that they do, the staff. The last piece is a Gallup, which I actually also premiered in 21. It's by a band director in Ohio. His name is Bryce Newton, Above the Line. And basically, he wrote it as a tribute to band students because they tend to live with a very high standard that happens to be above the line of average. And I believe that all 3 bands today demonstrated that. Thank you again for having me, and we hope you enjoy our Gallup Fast March.